Did Costa Rica first pop up on your radar?
When I was born.
It's really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because my mom's from here. Yeah, my mother's from here.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So wow. I know it's not fair, right?
Dude,
but
that's like your mom is the math teacher and like you get A's in classes.
No, my mom, Ana Cecilia, they actually live in Naranjo in the Central Valley. And she started bringing my brother and I here from the time, she could get us a passport and bring us back. But she left Costa Rica when she was 21.
Oh, wow.
And she had to Chicago where she met my father. And kind of the rest is history, as they say. But it was really important for her to understand our roots. Mm-hmm. And she was the only one who went to the States. So obviously with that, you get that education experience and culture all kind of rolled up into one.
Sure.
And she would bring us here every single year, like clockwork. She wanted us to understand where we were from and to know where all our family lives, because she's one of 7. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did you grow up outside of, like, in Chicago?
I was born in Des Plaines, and I lived in Schaumburg, and then we moved to Buffalo when I was 4 years old. So it's kind of, yeah, I know. So it's all kind of,
no wonder you were like, I'm coming to Costa Rica.
I know. I was like, I'm sick of this. So every vacation, every summer, we would basically like clockwork come to Costa Rica. So obviously, I started coming to Costa Rica in 1978. So that tells you my age, and I've seen a ton of changes.
Sure.
I'm going on year 14 of being here. And even in that time frame, I've seen a massive amount of changes, but more so in the last 5 to 10 years. So,
it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's a completely different country.
We're evolving.
Well, I say, look, it's much more livable. Like if you want to move to Costa Rica now, I mean, forget it. It's a million times better. I mean, as far as the ease, if you're transitioning from the States to Costa Rica.
Well, even to do this podcast. I mean, we didn't do this, I don't think, about 10 or 15 years ago. I mean, we didn't even have decent internet at the beach until really 5 years ago, I feel like. And, that when I moved here, I didn't even have internet at my house. I had to go to my office 10 minutes 100%. Down the road to have somewhat good, decent internet. Nothing such as high speed, but we take whatever we could get back then. And, dirt roads turning into paved roads and things like that. So.
I mean, I tell people it is really almost, it's hard to believe, but when we moved here in 2000, we bought our first cell phone, right? We lived in Manuel Antonio. There were simply no phones available. There wasn't like you could get a phone. There were no phone lines available. There were no cell phones available. They were not available. We paid.
How long ago?
There were what?
What's How long ago?
This was in 2000. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that I was in 06. So.
Yeah, we paid $500 for our first phone with a line. $500, right?
That's crazy.
Now you can get a phone and a line in 5 minutes. Like, it's amazing, right?
What was the $500 for? Is that a deposit?
Oh, it's because he was like milking us gringo prices, right?
That's ridiculous.
No, but there were no lines, right? So it was like, where are you going to get a line? There were no phones.
Yeah.
We went to Issei. It was like, oh yeah, we'll put it in. When's it going to be ready? 3 years, 4 years, nobody knows.
I believe it, because my grandmother it took my family 7 years to get my grandmother a line. So
people have no idea. Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
Literally, I say when they opened up, I mean, just a little bit of competition, just the slightest bit of competition, which is, 2 other providers coming in to Costa Rica have made it is amazing. There's high-speed line in Manuel Antonio. We have high-speed internet line at our house in Manuel Antonio, fiber optic line. I mean,
we're getting fiber optic right now where I live. So that's pretty exciting. I know it's a game changer.
It is a game changer. Well, it was always on your radar then. You knew you were coming back. It was just a matter of time, really.
Not really, actually. I mean, I'd come here every single year. I came here to visit my family. I lived in 1996, I lived in San Jose in Curiot with my aunts, and I studied at a language school that no longer exists in San Pedro. And
wait. You studied a language school? You didn't grow up speaking Spanish?
I did, but I forgot a lot. you have to understand, growing up in Buffalo, it's not very cultural. And there was like literally one Latino in my whole school. I was in a very white bread school. So
No,
I had like
I get
one,
that
no, it's
100%.
true. It was true.
I get it
had
100%.
I had one Puerto Rican.
Yep.
And I was the half that didn't look remotely Latina. So, you know, between the blue eyes and whatnot, it wasn't a dead ringer for that.
The main question is, do you still watch the Bills?
Oh yeah.
Because they're having a great season this year.
Listen, I've been with the Bills in good and in bad. It's like getting
there's
married.
a lot of bad. No, let's just say that there's all bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was here in the 90s too. You know, I was 94, 4 Super Bowls in a row. That was very sad.
Absolutely brutal. Absolutely.
Yeah,
brutal.
but no, I love the Bills. They're playing on Thursday. So
I know. Well, the other guy I had on this podcast who's from Buffalo, Phil, who runs a travel agency down here. He grew up in Buffalo.
Funny. Well, you need to put me in touch with Phil because there's very few of us Buffalo people. So. But yeah,
I grew about Buffalo and their fans. They're rabid fans.
We are. Yes, we are. We're on another level. I mean, we burn like, you know, what do you call it? The things that sod come on. I can't think of the word in English. You know what I'm talking about? Like the wood
pallets.
Things? Thank you.
Yeah.
They burn pallets at the games, at the, you know, people before the games are like burning everything. And I remember going to one of the Bills games and I'm like, are they burning pallets? Sod? Like, it was bizarre. It's so cold. They had to burn stuff. We need an open fire. But yeah, it's an awesome town. People make fun of it, but the people from there are genuine.
Absolutely.
And they're good people. They're some of the best people on earth for sure.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. The people I've met from Buffalo are fantastic. But it's funny because I fully expect from no other city in the United States when I ask, except maybe, I don't know, Kansas City or something. But when I ask a woman how she's liking the football team, under no other city would I expect them to like the football team except Buffalo. Exactly. I was fully convinced when I asked that question that you were going to like the Bills.
We just grew up with sports. It's like, it's so damn cold. All we have to do is enjoy our sports and we have very good food. But other than that, we have, you know, if we're lucky, we see 2 or 3 months of summer. So the rest of the time we focus on our sports and we're hardcore sports fans. So, you know, like I say, even living in Costa Rica and with all the technology we have, I can't leave my sports teams behind. So I've got NFL
what was the
Game
thing
Pass.
that was like that when you were back in the States, with the one thing where you were like, oh, I'm going to go, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try it? Or what was that thing?
You know, I worked in real estate in Tampa, Florida. I was in the flipping game when things were good. And that's basically what afforded me to be able to come here. Mm-hmm. Most people don't move to Costa Rica when they're in their 20s. And you know, you have to figure out what am I going to do to be able to stay here and make a living. You know, my life has changed a lot since I moved here initially, but I don't have any regrets. I have 2 boys that are now 9 and almost 12. And, you know, they were born here. And I think it's so awesome that they get to grow up and they go to a bilingual school and speak 2 languages. And, you know, they'll appreciate that, I think, later in life because it's just what they're used to. But, you know,
they don't appreciate, trust me, there's a zero appreciation now.
They don't really appreciate it, not at those ages. But no, I mean, the trigger really for me was I was getting burnout. You probably heard it a lot from people. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I didn't like what I did. I just don't think I liked the market that I was doing it for because I didn't really change jobs. You know, I'm a realtor in Florida and now I'm a real estate broker in Costa Rica. And the difference here is I work for me and I formed my own business in year 2 that I was here. The first year I worked for Remax and I started my own business and basically formed a property management company and a tour and travel agency in the last 5 years. So we could be basically a one-stop shop for people. And so that's why I did what I did. But I had to change gears because my background was more investment real estate in Tampa. So I did a lot of house flipping and assignment of contracts and foreclosures and things like that. Well, you probably know that kind of market here isn't what it is in the States. So I really had to do, you know, a complete, you know, like
complete 180 something.
Yeah, it's a complete 180. What am I going to do here? And so I focused more on the retail end of things. And I have also dabbled in commercial as well with certain clients doing commercial developments, but we have a different clientele. You know, I'm not selling to someone that's coming here because their child needs to be in a certain school district or because I'm moving for a job. You know, people are moving here for a lifestyle change. Exactly. So that's basically what I do is I help people change their lifestyle or investment properties. We manage 65 in 6 different beach areas.
Yep.
So, obviously our goal is to help people get the best return on investment on their vacation rentals, which is the majority of what our clientele is. So.
Now, how'd you end up in that area? Like, what made you choose that versus, Manuel Antonio or another beach town?
I actually really love Manuel Antonio a lot. I had a really dear friend of mine that lived down there, and I used to go there pretty much like clockwork. Honestly, it was a few different factors, but mainly it had to do with education for, in the future. I was thinking that I wanted kids. I didn't have kids when I initially moved here.
Yep.
All of my family, for the most part, lives in and around San Jose. So it probably would have made more sense for me to be out by you. But I just really fell in love with Guanacaste. I liked the fact that I was, 45 minutes from the airport. I liked that the weather it's more predictable up here. And, but yeah, those other factors like medical, like being somewhat close to a medical clinic, hospital, having options for kids. Because when I got here, I basically, was pregnant with my first son within the first couple of years. So those kind of things were just important to me. And I'm sure, back then, 12 years ago, there's not really options for private schools, bilingual schools down south. Everything has changed now. But back then, that's basically what was my driving factor. I mean, I'm really happy up here, but I definitely like other parts of Costa Rica. I visit many, many parts. The Central Pacific. I make the Osa Peninsula my one spot every year.
I love that. Isn't Osa the best?
Yeah, it's awesome. I just love to disconnect down there and just get away. But even then, when I started going there, it was no cell phones and AM FM radio only. And now I get cell phone signal in my jungle lodge. So I don't know. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But 100%. I like it down there. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I love the Osa, but I can't imagine living there. Right. I mean, like the Osa for me was like when we first went there, we were here for like a year when we went down and visited, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like we need to move down here. Like we could live like off the grid, you get those crazy ideas, but now like, oh my God, I'd kill myself. Like that, no way,
I like Osa, but when you're there, I tend to go in low season when there's less people. And sometimes that lets you see like, okay, this is what it could really get like, and crazy rivers that you have to cross and just some things that, it's great if you weren't in my position where, you like, obviously with my business, I need people. So I can't be in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And then on top of that, we work in the tourism industry, we need tourists. And then on top of that, if you have kids or you care about your health and you're like in the middle of nowhere, I mean, those are kind of things that can't be permanently in the middle of nowhere or off the grid. So yeah, those are things that obviously matter to me. So.
I mean, when we moved, we first lived in Manuel Antonio when we came to Costa Rica, and we moved to San Jose specifically when we were going to have our son Owen, because we were just like, do we want to live at the beach? It's not that you can't. And I think Manuel Antonio for families can be a decent spot.
For sure.
But for us, it was just, there is like a decent private school, but for us, just the idea of it's just really small town. I mean, all the beach towns are relatively small when you think about it comparatively to, to places you live in the States. And it's like, we just wanted more options, and
Absolutely.
Actually it's come to fruition now where we had them in a school and we weren't super happy. I mean, we're okay with it, but we weren't super happy. We wanted to change, and it's possible to change, right? There are tons of other private schools you can go to, so there's lots of options. We were looking for more.
The thing is like San Jose has a ton of private school options. In our area, we have 4 now, which I think is great for upper grades, whereas before we only had 1. So you can see it's growing, the demand's growing, the families are coming in here. The school actually that my children go to, it's called La Paz Community School. It's in Flamingo Beach. Yep. They that school started 11 years ago with 50 students, and they have 330 now, if I'm not mistaken. So it's grown, tenfold in a very short amount of time. And I think that just goes to show you that there's demand for that families are coming here. And it's not just people looking for 1 or 2 year sabbatical. I mean, most of the people, our turnover rate's very small because most people are looking to be here long term. And, the TICO population of the school is pretty high too. So that's the thing that keeps it more stable and less turnover. So
absolutely.
I think it's awesome. But no, I think it's great that we have more choices throughout the country and not just, in Guanacaste. You know, I always tell my clients, like, go around and visit different places and see what calls to you, because there's no
Sure.
one right answer. You know, different strokes for different folks. That's what
Well,
I
it was
say.
hard for us. I mean, I have friends and people moving it down to Costa Rica and, asking me about, well, where's a good school? And I'm like, look, there are a lot. It's all kind of your feel and what works for you as far as money and convenience and location and all these sort of, it's really complex picking a
For
school for
sure.
parents. Most parents freak out about it, including myself. I mean, we kicked it around for like 6 months. It was crazy.
No, it's a serious
Not doing
decision.
that.
Yeah. Well, and like also giving birth, like there was no private hospitals when I had my children,
Yep.
right? Not near here anyways. So I did the San Jose thing, and I went a month before I was due, and I just kind of, kicked around and was living in San Rafael de Escazú, and lived in a condo, was doing the city thing for like 2 weeks, and then I went and had my son. And this, my younger son, who's 9, my parents were living in the Central Valley at the time, so I just stayed with them for same thing, couple weeks,
Yep.
and waited until you know it was his time, and hung out there a little bit, and then came back. But we have options now, and there's a medical clinic, there's a private hospital in Liberia now. So I have some friends that have had their children there, and they've had really good experiences. So it's good to know that now we have those options, not just the public hospitals.
Now, when you picked that area, were you specifically going to be, you were just moving there and you hooked up with, was it Remax, or did you go there first and then work on getting the job? How did that work for you?
I sent them over my resume and walked into their office in 2005. I walked into their office and told them that I was going to be moving to Costa Rica next year.
Nice.
And the thing is,
That's pretty good
and I gave
timing.
them
It was booming right then, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I gave them my resume. I spoke to the broker there at the time, which was Chris Simmons, and yeah, he gave me a shot. I mean, I also gave my resume. I walked into a couple other offices, but they kind of stuck out at me. After a year, I wanted to go out on my own, but there was no opportunities within Remax to get into a Remax franchise in that area.
Mhm.
So I just decided to go out on my own in 2007 and start Blue Water Properties, and the rest is kind of history. So,
Well, it's funny, 2007, that's right about crashy time. So you,
Mhm.
you entered kind of in the wrong time.
It
But
wasn't the best timing. The one thing that did get me through the bad times was the property management.
Yep.
Because, you're stuck with a property no matter if it's a good market or a bad market. So the one thing that kept consistent was the property management side of things. It was a monthly paycheck. I wasn't getting rich by any means,
Sure.
but at least it was, paying the bills, and we rode the wave, the good ones and the bad ones. And, finally things started looking up in about 2010, 11 is when things started picking up a little bit here. It goes in different waves and whatnot. So
Now,
that's
did you
basically it.
always want to do the property management, or that was just like, well, the market's completely tanked, let's offer this because we see a need?
The property management actually was a proposal from a client of mine that I sold a property to in 2006.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
it
mean,
started with my
it
first-
totally fits hand in glove, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and basically it was my very first sale as an agent in Costa Rica. It was a 5-bedroom house in Tamarindo. It was a block off the beach. And I knew it was going to be a cash cow. And I'd done property management in Florida, so in Tampa. So
Mhm.
it wasn't a completely random thought. It was just my client said to me, "Hey, can you manage my property?" And I
Sure.
thought, well, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
So
Oh.
yeah, well, it's very hard, but it has its days, and especially with all these fun changes we've been having lately. But
Sure.
and I thought to myself, well, yeah, it's a nice house. It's a great first property to have. So why not?
Yep.
That one property, started it all. And now we're up to 65. I could have had probably.
Well,
200 properties.
as you were selling them the prop, I mean, you already built up the trust, right? And so then it's a natural.
Exactly. And actually most of the properties that we manage, I've sold most of them over the course of time. I'd say
Sure.
90% of properties we manage I've sold over the course of the last
Sure.
13 plus years.
Yep.
And so we have that relationship, not just from the buying or selling standpoint, but also from, managing their property this
Yeah.
entire time. So
Yep.
it's definitely a relationship built business for sure.
Yep. How do you find you get most of your clients? Are they just walk into your office, or they find you online and then contact you that way and you go through that process?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have been in a situation where at this stage in my life, most of my business is referral business. But at the beginning, you know, it was a lot of internet leads, networking. But now, you know, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. It's mostly referral. We get a ton of leads on the internet, but I have a team of 9 other agents. And so I give them, you know, I give them the leads. I'm building their businesses now. But at the beginning, I was definitely, you know, very dependent on the internet and my broker in year one. But I feel like, you know, social media has been a game changer for us because we didn't have that before. So now we do.
Let's get into that social media a little bit, because I know you're starting a YouTube show.
Yes.
Now tell me a little bit about that.
We're still playing around with an official title, but we think it's going to be Dream Catchers, Costa Rica. And, you know, the basic, those are actually my agents that helped me with that. We went around the conference room table and I said, I need your help. I need you guys to tell me what you think the name of this show should be. So we've seen a lot of stuff. Okay. I've done about 9 shows now for HGTV. I've been on House Hunters International. I've done Beachfront Bargain Hunt. I did a show in Canada called Live Here Buy This. But I feel like everything we ever see, if it's not about green tree frogs or sloths, is about real estate. And I was like, well, how about the probably number one question is really about lifestyle and work. So what am I going to do? What can I do? Because at least my clientele base is not retirees. It's mostly people that are still waiting for their children to get, you know, to college or get out of college. And so a lot of people are just trying to figure out, you know, what can I do if I'm going to sell everything in the States? What can I do when I come here? Not everybody has a job that is a remote job.
Absolutely.
You know, but I do have a lot of clients like that. And I think what a great job they have. I have clients that are authors. I have clients that do copywriting. They can do that anywhere in the world. I have people that work in the financial industry that can also kind of be wherever. But some of us, unfortunately, don't have that advantage, right? So you say, okay, well, I'm going to come to Costa Rica. What am I going to do? And so I'd always worked in real estate. For me, it was just a natural transition to work in real estate here. So that's what I did. But it's interesting, especially with my first guest. She happened to be she's an interesting story in general, but she overcame a lot of things, came out to Costa Rica as a single mom with 4 children, which is very gutsy. And then to start a business and start her life again and be as happy as she is. And, you know, I couldn't be more happy for her. I on purpose did a woman entrepreneur on my first show because I think I don't want to call it, I think we're the strong link, but I think it's kind of the one thing that people don't think, oh, I can start a business and make it be successful, make it be number 1 on TripAdvisor. And what does she do? How did she get there? So I think it's a really cool story.
So you're going to follow basically one person each episode. That's the idea?
Exactly.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So basically we're going to meet up with people and we're going to make sure to switch it up. So it'll be very different types of businesses. Natasha owns, the teaser is basically she owns a restaurant that she created from scratch called the Surf Box. It's number 1 on TripAdvisor. It's been so popular. She oftentimes has lines of people waiting to get in. And she has officially told me that she's going to expand in Tamarindo. And I met her because she was my tenant back in 2011.
Sure.
So that's when I met her. And then she moved out a year later. So.
Well, I mean, I think no doubt, I mean, obviously I'm talking to you through a podcast that I get contacted literally every day from people asking questions. There's an infinite number of questions that people have about moving to Costa Rica. And certainly the schools and kids and all that is a big, big part of it, along with, can I work? How can I work? You know, my standard reply for most people, because I get a lot from, you know, the under 30s, you know, who are looking to kind of have an adventure. And for them, I do recommend, hey, try to get virtual work, right?
For sure.
Because from a standpoint of moving here legally, it becomes very difficult otherwise.
It does.
Right?
It does. I mean, obviously, well, besides the fact that she ended up having her 5th child here in Costa Rica, Natasha was a resident beforehand, but
well, that I always say that's the easiest way. Just have a baby here.
The anchor baby, as we call it. It's terrible.
Anchor baby,
the
exactly.
Anchor baby. Yeah. But no, I mean, obviously not everybody has the advantage to just get here and be eligible for dual citizenship like I was. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people, especially when you're on chat forums, they just love to cut down people and be like,
oh, it's
you
terrible.
need to be here legal to work, absolutely.
Oh, it's terrible.
And
it's literally terrible. I'm on those, I'm pretty active on those, the Facebook
people are
groups.
mean. There's a lot of
And
troll.
it is troll city brutal. I literally, when I see somebody get beat down, I literally send them a private message and I'm like, don't worry about it. Costa Rica is not like this Facebook group.
Oh my
Costa Rica
gosh.
is actually super nice.
I feel like it's a lot of just angry retirees sometimes. And I don't want people to think like this is how we all are, because it's not. I was 28 when I moved here.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I had a plan. But even, like I say, I had to get my residency just like anybody else had to get the residency, because when I applied for my residency, the laws had changed. So I couldn't even apply, even though my mom's Tika, I couldn't apply via my mother because she had to be under 25 and she never registered. Yeah. And she never registered me as a citizen born abroad. And so because she didn't do that, okay, I had to go through the process just like anybody else. And I started with regular rentista residency, which is, which, is a restricted class of residency. But I had to go about doing it somehow. And then I knew that if I was here long enough that I could turn that into permanent residency. The only thing that fast forwarded me was that I was pregnant a year later. And so I was automatically eligible for permanent residency. I didn't get my citizenship until 5 years ago. And it took a long time to get it because the laws changed. And then I had to take a test and I could never get past page 10. I was always stuck on the San Juan River and the geography. And I was just so busy. And then finally my immigration attorney calls and she's like, oh, Becky, you don't have to take the test anymore because they've changed the laws.
What is the law now? I should probably get my citizenship. What is the law about? I mean, I've been a resident for, God, I don't even know, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah. So,
I was like you. I had the rentista. We did it the shady way. You could pay a guy who'd go and get the stamp, or do it, whatever. We got it done back in 2001 or whatever.
Well,
and then we got the real one once my son was born, right? So, but it's like, yeah. So I've had that, whatever, for 13 years.
They changed the minimum age requirement, and that's how I was able to get my citizenship without having to take a test.
So you got it through your mom, basically.
That's correct. So they changed the law for kinship residency. I applied via my mom. And then my dad got his citizenship in like 6 months. I'm like, what's up with that? But anyways.
So wait, you're saying that I need to take that test? Is that what you're saying?
You will have to because of the way
I'm
you
out.
would get
I'm definitely not taking that test.
You'll never get past page 10. I'm kidding. But no, it's like, it's not like we have to sing the national anthem and you have to do different things. In this case, I just didn't have to take the exam. Right. But it took its time and it does take some effort, and it took me a lot of patience because it took years and years, and part of that was on me and part of that was on the government. So, but I got there and I'm happy, and I just voted actually for my first time in the last election. So that was kind of fun. Cool. And interesting. So
you got the show coming out on YouTube, but it's not out yet, right?
No, we're actually we're editing it. We hope that it will be out before we're hoping the next 2 to 3 weeks at the most. Okay. And what we're going to do, our goal is to get at least 2 shows a month out there. And again,
that is ambitious. That's ambitious.
Yeah. So we're trying to do 2 a month. We're trying to keep it around 10 minutes. It's not like a House Hunter show that's 22 and a half. But we're going to follow a format. My background is actually television reporting. So being in front of the camera it doesn't bother me. I like it. It's fun. Right. But at the same time, I have to convert myself more into the reporter, because I don't talk really about me on these shows. The show's not about me. It's about the people in our community. So, and I'm willing to travel along the coast to do shows just as long as I can do a few at the same time, and seeing if we have good success with it here in our area. We're hoping to expand it to other areas, including the Central Valley and the South Pacific, et cetera. So maybe I'll come down to your area and interview you. But I think so far I have a little teaser. I'll share with you the teaser. It's really high quality, cameras, HD, everything. It looks great. And just a lot of amazing drone shots and scenery of this particular area, but not just only this area. I mean, all the great different microclimates that we're accustomed to. And, we're near, obviously, Rincon de la Vieja and Arenal Volcano and the areas southwest and the Central Valley. So all of that is going to be highlighted in the show, because even though I live in Guanacaste, there's so many other parts of the country
that's one of the best things about Costa Rica. You can get around everywhere quick.
Yeah. And I own property in the Central Valley too. So it's not just here that it's happening, but this is obviously home for me. And so
and then you got to show people how you come in and shop at Price Mart to get your stuff. And
well, waiting for Price Mart to come. You should have seen my car yesterday when I came back from San Jose. I came and went yesterday.
Oh, you did? Oh man, that's brutal. We used to do that back in the old days. No way.
I left at 4 a.m. and I got home at midnight night, and my car looked like a clown car, but had to do it. But we have Price Mart coming to Liberia across from the airport. So we're super excited. It's under construction right now. So
I mean, I eventually, when we still had a business in Manuel Antonio, but we were living here in San Jose, and I would just fly. I mean, I like flying. I like being there in like 20 minutes.
You like the little crop dusters?
I love them.
I've done it plenty of times. But yeah, it's not like my favorite, unless you have to understand, we get some crazy winds in Guanacaste sometimes. I refuse to fly in like the gale force winds and, crazy time of year. But right now is a beautiful, beautiful time of year all over the country, really. So.
But I do maybe the listener at home doesn't appreciate what 10 minutes of video takes. But it's the amount of effort to professionally edit 10 minutes of video. It is basically a full-time job. Do you have like full-time staff doing that for you?
Well, okay. So I have a videographer. He actually is out of Esparza. Mm-hmm. He started with me doing some professional real estate photography, and he's been really awesome. And he's grown over the years with me. I mean, he started out with real basic, real estate videos, and he's since evolved and has like this amazing drone, and he's always improving with, the technology that he has, which is really what, for me, makes your show seem more professional, or something I was doing on my iPhone. He has really amazing cameras, and I mean, I'm doing it like a real show. I mean, I have a hair and makeup person, we're going there with him,
no,
but
you're putting in the effort, man. That's great.
Yeah, but it's not like House Hunters. I don't have a sound guy and a camera guy and another camera guy. It's not like that. This is like a low budget, but well done.
Sure.
So I'm not paying anybody to be on the show, but they're getting a ton of advertising out of it, because I have a YouTube channel. It's being promoted on the YouTube channel, and we as my company, Blue Water Properties, is paying to promote the show itself. So we're really excited, because I got so much positive feedback just taking photos of filming, put it on my Facebook, and I was inundated. It was crazy, like totally unexpected. It's crazy. I was inundated with people that wanted to be a part of it, wanted to know when it was airing.
It's so funny. I'm only shaking my head, because literally my wife and I tried to do this. What my son he was 1. So this was 12 years ago. We had the idea. We know a woman in Colorado who works with like a TV production company. And we were like, let's get a show about our life, because our life is crazy here, running the business. We're in San Jose, got a business down. Let's do a show about our lives and how crazy Costa Rica is. And we actually had a guy following us, doing all this sort of stuff. But dude, it was going to cost so much money, and I was just like, we actually filmed for like a month, and just to get it all together, the tech wasn't to do it on a budget. I mean, you're still putting in a tremendous amount of time, energy, but the budget,
time and energy, it's a budget.
$20,000 to do it. You can do it on a lot less. It's possible now. Like, this is the right time.
We're doing it more in a shoestring budget for sure. But Rainer, in all fairness, I've given him a ton of work over the years, and he, it's kind of like, I'll scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. He's been amazing, and he does such awesome work, and he's very patient, and he's doing this because he sees the future potential, not because of what I'm able to pay him at this moment. I think he realizes that this could turn into something really big. Absolutely. And, like I said, my passion, I mean, I went to the university to be a news reporter. I thought I was going to be the next Katie Couric. I never thought I would be in real estate. I never thought that I would be on TV because of real estate. So my life has completely changed. I also never thought I would use Spanish for anything, like all these things that I just never thought. I find it so ironic that I'm in Costa Rica. And my mom even says that to me, like, I can't believe that you're here in my country now. And, you know,
In
and the
my
boys
country.
in my country, our country. But she says, in my country. You're in my country now. Yes, mom, we're in country. But, you know, she forgets sometimes that I'm also
Tika.
Yeah. So she, but she also is very excited to be able to be here with me, with my my children. And, you know, she just finds it ironic that they were born here.
Sure.
And so, you know, I think, they'll, like I said, they'll appreciate it. They'll appreciate it one day, but yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky to be in this country and do what we do. So.
Very fortunate. I do think your timing is perfect for this type of show. The only other thing I've seen like it was a guy named Aaron who lives down over by Malpais, I think. But he did a cooking show here in Costa Rica.
That's
and
awesome.
he would really nice, beautifully put together. I mean, this thing was solid. Look it up on YouTube about cooking in Costa Rica. Same sort of thing, but even more so, like his idea, he did it and it was just nicely done. But your idea for you building that relationship with people before they even contact you, I think has a tremendous
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of clients have I gotten a lot of clients from house hunters? Sure. But it's definitely not where the bulk of my clients come from. But I think that's gaining more and more popularity. But I think that this show, you know, it's funny I guess what people don't realize is that as a real estate broker, it's not just about buying property. It's also about job opportunities, about, like you said, schools, where, you know, these are number 1 and 2 questions is about, at least in our area, is jobs. If you're not purchasing for investment, it's about jobs. If you're not retired yet, okay? Yep. And if you have children and you're bringing a family down, where are my children going to go to school? These are, you know, important things. I think jobs is trickier. And that's why I wanted to focus on something. We have enough real estate shows out there. We have enough Discovery Channel shows about sloths and monkeys. I wanted to do something real with real people, not reenacting like I do in House Hunters.
Right.
And really be like,
whoa, are you saying House Hunters isn't real?
I'm saying most reality shows aren't completely real. No, you know what? I will give credit where credit's due. The House Hunters, in most cases, they've been, in almost all of the cases except one show, they've been my clients.
Right.
That I did sell a property to.
Right.
Do we see properties that perhaps we didn't see on our initial tour?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Because sometimes the ones we've seen are sold and there's people in there right now.
Yeah.
So we can't really get back in there because that was a year ago or 5 months ago or whatever. So, so no, this is as close to real reality TV, talking to real people with inspiring stories, with people that wanted a change in their life and they were looking for something different and they figured out how to do it. And I think that's the thing that's kind of inspiring about the show is they're going to show you that, you know, if you have a dream and you do your research and you follow through, because, you know, starting a business is not for everybody or even buying into one. Most people fail. The people that I'm having on my show, by the way, just so you know, are people that have been at this for years and are successful, not people that bought into a restaurant and were gone 1 year later.
Yep.
That's not, you know, or people that have just started in their new business. These are people that have been here for several years that are making it work. So
what do you tell them when they ask you what are the biggest problems or challenges about running a business here in Costa Rica? What's your standard answer for them?
Getting trusted.
The smile I only know because I live here. You just have to experience.
It's not just one simple answer. Come on. I would say staffing is number 1 because I think there's a lot of great trusted type attorneys and, you know, accounting professionals. I think where we lack, at least in Guanacaste, okay, in the Central Valley, it's easy to find bilingual people with work ethic. In Guanacaste, we still have a little bit, it's like more pura vida here and you know, mañana culture. And so the mañana culture is what kind of kills it. You know, you're like, okay, be here at 9. And everyone said, that's a Tico thing. I said, yeah, but it's like more Tico when you get to Guanacaste.
More Tico. I like that.
It is. So it's like the skilled set.
Sure.
It's finding, let me be more specific, bilingual people. It's like, I need someone like me. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Right.
I need someone like me that can speak Spanish and English fluently, pretty much evenly. That's a really hard,
Sure.
that's a tall order, but you know what? I have such an awesome staff. It took me a few years to get that awesome staff put together. I'm not going to pretend like the business always runs itself, but it pretty much does at this point. But I'm very much involved in all my businesses.
Sure.
But, you know, we've grown from one property to 65. I have a big staff. I have 25 employees. I have 9 real estate agents. We also have a tour and travel division. So, you know, we just dealing with the government
You do
stuff.
tours too?
We do tours too. I know. Tell me about it. So yeah, so we
What made you do that?
Yeah.
Was that just people were asking for it and you were like, well,
no,
I got
here's the thing. Right. With property management, we get asked, it's like, as soon as they book, what's number 2 question? Who's going to pick us up from the airport? Can you let us know about fun activities to do? For sure. So I actually created the tour and travel agency, which is Blue Water Adventures. Yeah. We bought a few vans. We employ you know, our own drivers and guides, and we're able to operate a lot of our own tours. We're on TripAdvisor. Sure. And we're licensed by ICT, and you know, I think what makes it successful, and the reason we did it, was to be a one-stop shop, so we could incorporate client services, quality control from start.
Well, that, I mean, I was just you hit the nail on the head there. It's quality control, right? It's like, if you hire Frank forgot, Frank didn't, he's late, you know, and exactly. You're having to deal with issues. Exactly. You're still going to have issues, but at least they're your guys, your
exactly.
Issues, you know? Exactly.
And we have a 17 passenger van, 12 passenger van. And, you know, we have some amazing bilingual people that work for us. And actually my fiance runs that side of the business. And he's from here. He's from the area. So he's worked in the tourism industry since he was 18 years old. So he basically taught me everything. I begged him to please run that side of the business so I could have less to do, because property management and real estate really are time consuming. And I didn't need one more thing on my plate. So he's been awesome. He runs all that. And because he does have that background, he worked for some of the biggest companies in Costa Rica, like Swiss Travel. And, sure. You know, he freelanced for a lot of the other big ones like TAM and a lot of the DMCs and things like that. So he you know, CAT and some of the other bigger tour companies. And he basically taught me so many things that I had no idea about. And so we grew enough that I was able to hire 2 full-time people to manage that, you know, that side of the business. Yeah. And he does logistically everything for the tour and travel company. But like I say, it's a lot of fun because people, like I said, we can at least guarantee that people are going to have a great time from being picked up at the airport in a professional manner, in a new van with air conditioning and things like that. Just things that maybe we take for granted, but, you know, just being licensed and insured and following the rules, but we do it on another level. You know, we have a great team. So
it's funny because you know, you live in Costa Rica, and when people come to visit or you friends of friends, I literally right before I got off the phone onto this call with you, I was on the phone with a guy who's in Costa Rica for like 5 days, and he wants to go somewhere, and he's like, what should I do? You know, it's like, okay,
we should make mock itineraries.
Like literally over the years, I have like a Dropbox link that's got, in that link has, you know, what I told him I'm sending in Manuel Antonio, but that link has, you know, where to go, here's maps, here's the Waze map, here's the thing, you know, it's literally got all this stuff where I can just send a link and be like, I'm
That's
done
awesome. You're like, here's my mock itinerary. And that's exactly. Tough. I get a lot of friends asking me like, where should I go? What should I do? I'm like, oof. First you have to say how many days do you have and what's most important to you, because it's really hard. You know, like there's some people that come to Costa Rica and never hit the beach.
I know.
And like me, when I go to other countries, I could care less about the beach because I live at the beach.
Hey,
so,
live at the beach,
you know, it's like, what do you want to do? You're doing more city thing, more mountain thing, more jungle thing. And,
no, I mean, that's like a whole, as you know, that's a whole business right there. Just doing that. Right.
Yeah. And I think too, like people say, oh, you live at the beach and it's a slower lifestyle. Absolutely it is. But I'm always busy because I run all these businesses. So I always tell people you can be as busy or unbusy as you want to be. If you want to just come here and, you know, drink margaritas by the pool or at the beach, you can live that life. It's sad though. I feel like I have barely gone to the beach lately, but but I take my time to do that. And I avoid Easter week and Christmas week and, or just, I go to San Jose actually sometimes during Easter week.
Sure.
And
No, you
there's
got to
nobody
catch
there.
a
It's
movie
sad.
or whatever,
Yeah. Doing my city things, like go to Office Depot and
I mean,
hit up
I
the
say like when I
Multi
moved to
Plaza.
Costa Rica, I literally moved to Costa Rica because I wanted to like work as little as possible. Like, what's the way I can not work
Yeah.
at all? Right. Literally like live off the grid and, just
We always wanted to
coconuts.
do that. I thought I'd work less. Okay, this is what I tell people because it's the truth. I don't think I work less. I actually think sometimes I work a little bit more. But
no, we work 10 times more.
We do because we run businesses, but that's our prerogative and that's our choice, right? But I love what I do. So I don't feel like it's a job. And
Exactly.
on top of that, if I want to take a vacation, like I did a real vacation for the first time this year, I went to Europe, which I haven't done in 15 years. I can do that. The boss can leave. You leave everything set up and you're like, I'm not asking anybody for permission. So there's something beautiful about being your own boss.
Sure.
There comes a lot of responsibility with that, but I do have job flexibility when I need to. And that's mostly what I like about it. But like I said, when you get a great crew working for you, it makes your life a lot easier as well. So.
Tell me, have you, just because it popped in my mind just now about the idea, well, I guess the first thing is as a female, have you ran into specific challenges being a woman here in Costa Rica? Running a business being a woman.
I think, well, maybe not specifically with the people at my office. It's just learning about how to get things done in the country sometimes. And, I think that people respect me in the area. I think one of the things, and not so much about being a woman, just in general, is trying to speak Spanish. I think that's really important.
Yeah,
a lot of people come here and they'll never speak Spanish or, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like my pet peeve, people in the States that don't speak English. So it's like, I would never move to another country and at least not try to speak some decent conversational
English,
or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, English.
Yep.
So I think that's one. But no, I think that Guanacaste is very well known for cowboys and, cattle ranching and machismo. It's kind of like something.
Well, that's what I was getting to. Yes, exactly. The machismo.
No, when I first came here, I think I scared people more than anything because like, okay, there's
Did
like
you get
this
called
green.
gringo when you first came down?
Yeah, but I'm so, they actually, what they call me? You know what my nickname is? The Macha. La Macha. That's what they call me, the Macha. And I'm like, why brown hair? But it's not so much about your hair color. More about the blue eyes, right? Gata, Macha, whatever. But no, I find that the attitudes here have changed a lot in the last decade.
Yep.
And I think people respect you more when you're a woman and you run a business. And no, luckily, like I say, I try to run a tight ship. I think everyone respects me because I try to be a good boss, but I also call a spade a spade. But in terms of women, I don't feel, I have a lot of great people that help me. To be perfectly honest with you, most of my company is women. Yeah. So, I have a lot of women, not that I don't want men working for me. It just happens to be that the women outnumber the men because of the types of positions and jobs there are, housekeeping, for example, where maintenance, all guys. And, it's not that I wouldn't hire a maintenance girl because actually one of the providers that we use for air conditioning is owned by a woman. So I like that. I like that. Okay. And she's a single woman and I respect that too, because, basically, I've been there and I know what it is to have to juggle kids and a job and everything else. So, I say like my life has changed drastically since I moved here, but I don't regret, anything about it. I mean, I was divorced many, many moons ago, 7 years ago, but I'm getting ready to get married next year and he's from here. So, it's funny how life has changed, but it's bring so many good opportunities also. From things that didn't seem so great from before. That's a good thing. Yeah.
All right. Final two questions for you.
Yeah.
Best thing about Costa Rica?
Oh, I think that's pretty easy. The lifestyle, the weather, the people. That was three things.
That's three things.
That was three things. Sorry. Okay. I'll go for the lifestyle then. There we go.
Yeah, it can be, but I tell people, look, it's what it's what you make it, right? If you want to, work hard. Trust me, you can work hard. You can, I think a lot of it is just, you have to be flexible to change. I mean, when I moved here, I was 20 something, and you have different priorities when you're in your
Oh yeah.
20s, you're in your
Don't I
40s.
know? Well, I'm
Yeah.
like you. I was in my 20s when I moved here, and obviously I was in my 20s. I was married. I didn't have kids. I mean,
Yep.
and nobody ever thinks, fast forward that you're going to be in a much different position and have kids and be running businesses. And, like I say, that's why I don't regret anything about it. But Costa Rica, I always say it's not a utopia, and I know you know what I mean, but I don't think any place in the world is. But I think Costa Rica is. I really think it's the people lifestyle that make it awesome, and that's why I'll never leave here. So.
Whoa, now don't say never. Never mean.
Yeah, never. I don't think I'm going anywhere. So.
But the thing I think, well, I guess it's the world over, right? But the people have changed in Costa Rica. Costa Rica has changed. We talked about that a little bit ago, but it's changed drastically in the last 10 years. And I think the people have changed with it. I mean, people have, we joke about it because my mom's been visiting us for, the 20 years, and how there used to be trash on the side of the road and stuff like that. And that doesn't really happen anymore. Like, people used to just huck stuff out the window. But I look at the States too. People, growing up, we would huck stuff out the window. Everybody would, right? But we've all changed as a society. We've gotten better,
I think Costa Rica, they paint themselves as an eco-friendly place. So it's like, you can't keep preaching that and not follow up on that. And so you need to practice what you preach. And even here, we have beach cleanup. We're responsible for the roads. People adopt a highway. I mean, it's funny because some things remind me of the States sometimes, and you're like, okay, that goes with the good and the bad. Like when I see an adopt a highway sign in Spanish, and I'm like, oh my God. And I think to myself, like, that's so gringo, but it's awesome, because somebody's sponsoring, for the road to be looking great. And you're thinking, that's awesome. And I agree with you. There's less people throwing trash out their window. The schools are trying to push, being socially responsible. And so, the education has shifted. Costa Rica is this green destination, his change, and what makes, think about all of us who indirectly or directly work for tourism.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to keep up with that message, and even little things, not little, but, animal rights and things like that. I mean, They punish people now for animal rights. They didn't used to do that. It was such a norm to, the dogs now, I mean, and I know Junior Kim, but like the dogs in the bed sometimes, like, get the dog out of the bed. And I'm like, I guess that's a little gringo, but isn't it? It's like more American type.
It is. And
I
we've
don't
heard
like
it all.
with my dog in the bed because there's no room, but he starts in his dog bed and then he gets up to my bed. But it's funny because that's the Guanacaste in him. That's like get the animals belong.
These animals outside, right? Yeah.
No, exactly. But he's sappy now. He's warmed up to these puppies. And he adopted one of them from Liberia. I mean, there's aguates to like another level, but that just goes to show you the changing attitude of people, including him, because I'm sure he was raised, and I know that for a fact, with that kind of mentality that
absolutely
dogs should be outside. But no, I mean, they make their way up here on the bed too. So
no, I mean, it's the great thing about this is my current theory on the world culture, our culture, Western culture at least, is with the advent of internet and everybody having access to, everybody at the same time. Yeah, there are quite a lot of negatives about it, but really the rapid pace of social change that can take place when we can call out for people for things we dislike is fantastic. I mean, you mentioned the dogs, and when we first moved to Costa Rica, oh my God, you'd walk in Capos, there'd be 30, 40 dogs, just wild and mange and sick dogs. And is it perfect? No. But is it better? Yeah, it's a million times better.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. And like both the dogs that I have, they're both Tico dogs, right? And they're both Zaguates. So, I moved here initially with a puppy, with a German Shepherd puppy, but and ended up ever since in just Lily, she's since passed last year, but just adopting Zaguates, and I rescued a little puppy and gave it to my parents in Naranjo a few weeks ago because they just built their new house, so that was exciting. And I was like, oh, here you go, surprise! And I brought them an 8-week-old puppy that found me.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
you did not.
So cute. His name is Canelo. He's the cutest little thing. We think he's going to be like a little hot dog, like a little, what do you call him? The little
Like,
shorty dog with short
yeah,
legs.
yeah. The dachshunds, yeah.
Yeah, dachshunds. And just so cute. So stinking cute. But yeah, I took him. I took him and he has a great little home now. There he's living on the finca over there. Super cute. So.
Well, we have a I don't know if you heard him or her squealing in the background, but we have a pig now.
No way.
Yeah. My wife had always wanted a baby pig, potbelly,
Oh my
teacup
God.
pig. And this was widely known. And we've had so many dogs and animal rescues. I mean, literally, dozens. And I've whittled it down to now we have 2 dogs and a cat. I whittled it down.
Oh my God.
Years of grinding.
But the pig.
And then one of my former best friends, no longer a friend, decided that it was a good idea to give my wife a pig on her birthday.
Oh my God.
and-
But she kept it. She kept it.
Well, what are we going to do? I mean, literally, it was almost a joke. It was basically done as a joke, like, oh, bring the pig to the birthday party. Like,
my
she
God.
rented the pig for the day. And my wife saw the pig, tears of joy. It was like she gave birth to her, a baby girl.
Oh my God. That's too
And
funny.
so the pig could not go back. There was no.
The pig was staying. The pig was staying. You might go. Pig's staying.
Let me just
You're
say this.
out.
Pigs
She's
are
in.
not dogs. Pigs are not dogs.
I know. No, they're not. I think they're more work. I could be wrong, but I don't have a pig.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
would
like
I
dogs
would
are
rather
work.
have 20 little Dachshunds than
Oh
one of
my
these.
gosh. I can only imagine.
Don't ever do it. Don't ever do it.
Oh, don't worry. I won't.
I-
I'm surprised I have 2 dogs, to be honest with you.
The pig teaches me this. I've never experienced this before, but an animal with a complete one-track mind. Complete. There is food and then there's nothing else.
Sleepy.
It is just the laser focus on
Food or
food.
sleeping?
Even
Food
when
or
she's sleeping, it's just, was that food? I mean, it's just never.
That's so funny. I just can't believe it. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's awesome, though. You're a good husband. Let him stick around.
But hey, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's awesome.
Gave people some awesome tips on Costa Rica in general. Good luck with the show, and maybe we'll have you on a little bit after it shows, and we can talk about it.
For sure. Well, I'll send you a clip, and we'll circle back soon. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Ciao.